Yo, what it do? It's your boy the Hugh Cypher, aka Verbal Kent, aka Kaiser Sose. You could go cipher that. Today, of course, we're going to build on some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And what I want to talk about is negative spiritual energy. For those who may be atheists out there, let's just say negative quantum consciousness being projected at each other and by each other. Now, as an African American, I want to know the best way to deal with this negative energy, because as a person of color, we've been bombarded with negative connotations of blackness for centuries. We've been bombarded through all forms of media, books, newspapers, TV shows, movies, musicals, music, radio, and even cartoons have carried these negative connotations of blackness, which breeds a negative attitude towards blackness, especially within the wider white society. Now, this energy, black people pick up on. A lot of people like to say, oh, black people are crazy because we see racism in almost everything. But the truth of the matter, racism is thoroughly ingrained in American culture, throughout Western culture, period. But specifically, it's ingrained in American culture, and it's been ingrained in American culture for centuries. So a lot of these things white people do, they do so unconsciously. This is why you always hear a lot of white people say, I'm not racist, but, they say some really racist stuff after that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of this stuff is unconscious. And the reason why it's unconscious, a lot of this stems from a person's fight or flight response. Now, the amygdala is a part of the brain. It's the reptilian part of the brain, the most primitive part of the brain that controls your fight or flight response. And this is something that's hardwired in everyone. So when your amygdala fires up, it's an instinct. It's instinctual. It's if you're not conscious of it, you're not going to use your higher brain functions to filter that. Now, as I said, the amygdala is the reptilian part of the brain, and they've done studies on white people where they hook them up to MRI machines, scanning machines, where they look at the amygdala, and they've shown them pictures of white and black faces, all the shades in between. And when these white people see darker hued people or black people, the amygdala automatically fires up. It fires up. Now, this is your fight or flight response. The amygdala is the part of your brain that responds to fear. It responds to a threat. And kind of like the quote Yoda, this leads to the evil and dark side in people that we see in a lot of racist hate groups. Now, as Yoda said, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. And this is what we're seeing in America, specifically today, because racism has been validated and justified by our orange president, who he himself is one of those people that I'm the least racist person that you've ever met. He seriously says these things, believing it, unconscious of the fact that racism has been ingrained in his mindset. And a lot of white people that have these racist views, they feel that they're justified by, certain things that they perceive in black people. Now, when your amygdala fires up like that, again, if you're not conscious, if you're not using other parts of your brain, the reptilian brain, and other animals, when animals became mammals, the mammalian brain evolved to encompass that, and that gave way to higher functioning, like, even a lot of higher mammals express emotion. You can see it like in your dog's face, or elephants have an elephant graveyard. They express sorrow at the loss of a member of the elephant herd, So the mammalian brain is also another part of the brain that we possess. But as humans, we have a cerebral cortex. Thus far, that's the highest evolution of the biology of the brain on this planet. And your cerebral cortex filters everything and allows you to respond to things logically. So like when a person say they practice tolerance, like I say I practice tolerance, which means that it doesn't necessarily mean that I accept something or that I'm immediately cool with something, but it means when I see something that's outside of my cultural context, something that I've been culturally taught is a negative or bad thing, I use tolerance to respond to that instead of responding with my amygdala that's firing up with this fight or flight response, and this is what you're doing when you say you practice tolerance. You're using your higher brain functions, and the thing is, black people could pick up on this energy, these negative attitudes towards blackness. I see a lot of the times that race is like an accelerant. In other words, race makes things burn hotter, quicker, faster, more volatile. A situation where race becomes involved in it becomes that much more hotter, that much more volatile. And like an example is like how police could arrest a white mass murderer, just killed a bunch of people, even take him to get a burger, but they arrest this guy. He's not beaten or killed or even, mistreated. He is arrested and safely taken to jail. But black unarmed suspects, not even criminals, these are just black unarmed suspects, most of the time illegally stopped or unjustifiably stopped or, harassed by police. We're shot just for thinking our cell phones or toy gun or reaching for our registration or license is a threat. And, these killer cops who, on average, it's about one black person, a person of color killed every 28 hours. This is how bad this is. But this is the amygdala firing up. This is a fight or flight response. And this is centuries of racism, negative attitudes and connotations of blackness that have been ingrained in people, So how do black people deal with this? People of color deal with this negative energy being shot at us? First of all, understanding where it comes from, understanding the cultural context or where it comes from, but then also practicing mindfulness meditation. I pray, I chant songs, and meditate. For those who may be atheists, you can talk to your psychiatrist. For those who aren't atheists, sometimes talking to a psychiatrist or a therapist is better than talking to your reverend, deacon, or pastor. Sometimes you can talk to both because people come at things from different angles and have different insights depending on where they come from. So, in ending, negative spiritual energy, racism, how to shield yourself from it. Of course, knowledge of self, wisdom and understanding is always a great shield. It's worked for me throughout my life. Hopefully it could work for you, and hopefully for white people watching this, if you aren't already using tolerance in your higher brain functioning, you'll start using it. Message to you, Stephen Molyneux, Ben Shapiro, I won't go on a diatribe on those guys now, but the race realists with their quasi-scientific theories, incomplete scientific methodology, man. That's a pet peeve for me, man, but later for that. In ending, shalom, assalamu alaikum, hotep, peace, I'm out.